summit number, what?
I think it's number 7.
Number 7. Start.
Okay. Lucky number 7.
Lucky number 7, exactly. Well, welcome everybody. We are now doing our monthly edition of the Summit podcast, and today's a very exciting one. We're here today with Rebecca Armitage and our very own BDM, Donna Morrison. Or is it Armitage?
Armitage. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, welcome both of you. Just to get us started.
Thank you for having me.
Well, aren't you going to introduce me?
Oh, everyone knows Armando. You're not exciting anymore, Armando. People, they're bored of us.
What are you talking about?
Good morning.
I get all kinds of fan mail.
Yeah, everyone already knows you. Every time someone talks about Armando, they're like, "Oh, we go way back, way back."
You cut me deep. Well, I'm happy to be here with Rebecca and Donna. James, not so much, but I'm really looking forward to our conversation today. And we're in the sunny West Coast, in God's country.
Yes.
Yeah, it is sunny. A little bit of rain, but
okay.
We're used to it out here.
We're not made of sugar, so we won't melt. So that's good. So
yeah, Armando, definitely not.
Yes.
Well, why don't you two?
Yes.
Why don't you two tell us a bit about yourselves, about your career, your journey to this point, what brought you here today specifically? But yeah, just tell us a little bit.
So, as I was saying a little bit before, I've been a broker now for 15 years. I started off managing an office and then quickly realized that I wanted to actually be brokering. So really just sort of started from the very bottom and became an assistant. And I was probably in an assistant role a little bit too long, to be completely honest. But have now, I'm now fully branched out and on my own and loving it. How I actually got to this point to be on here is seeing Donna, lovely Donna, a couple of weeks ago. And we were just having a casual conversation and she was just like, "You should come on our podcast." And I said, yes, I would love to. So it's my first one, but yeah, I'm excited.
That's awesome.
Wonderful. Welcome.
Thank you.
And I'm Donna Morrison, Business Development Manager here in British Columbia, working with Alta West for the last year. I've been in the industry for a very long time, sometimes longer than I care to admit to, but started underwriting way back when in the subprime space, and I've worked in many different capacities within the mortgage industry. Absolutely love private lending, and I love supporting broker partners here in BC. I go way back with Armando too, and sometimes way back when he was a client of mine in Ontario. So it's really great to be here today and have the opportunity to speak with everybody.
Well, we go further back. We never crossed paths, but we worked for the same company many years ago too. Back in the subprime days. So
that is true. That is true.
So we go way back, and our paths always come back. It's destiny, Donna.
It must be.
It's the mortgage world, I think.
Exactly.
You can't stay out of it. You just kind of go somewhere else in it.
It's just like Al Pacino. They just pull you back in.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, Rebecca, what was it that drew you into the industry at first? Because that is a huge shift from working in medicine to...
It is a huge shift.
Mortgages.
Yeah. I mean, in all honesty, I think I was in the medical... I've always loved helping people. It's always been something that I knew I wanted to do, whatever line of work it was. And I thought it was in the medical space. And I worked at the hospital for 8 years, and... It was amazing, but I wanted to change, and I didn't know what that was, and so I just sort of took the job randomly to be an office manager, and I realized quite quickly, obviously, the money you can make is lovely. There's the freedom, but you are also helping people, and the joy that kind of came to helping those people and how grateful they are. And it's obviously stressful at times too, but that's what really made me decide to do it. Yeah.
And has it always been in the BC space?
Yes. Yeah, I've always been in BC. So
You've got a BC
kind of floated
veteran.
back and forth from Vancouver Island to the Okanagan is kind of what I've done. But yeah, I've always been in BC.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, that is super interesting. And that my next question, honestly, is what makes BC a unique market to you, having this experience there? Because I would say it's probably pretty common knowledge that BC is a little bit different than the rest of Canada. In many ways.
I mean, I've never worked in the Vancouver space necessarily, which I know it's even kind of more, I would say maybe cutthroat, maybe not as compared to Toronto, but there's, Vancouver Island and the Okanagan are very similar in that, Kelowna and Victoria are kind of a niche market. They like, people, it doesn't necessarily, you don't get those lows or those, you get the highs, but you don't get the crazy lows, I think. And I've known it. I mean, I grew up in that space. So I hate to say it, but I kind of love that I know everything about the area. I think it would be difficult as a mortgage broker to move to Toronto, let's say, and start brokering,
It's community-based lending, right? And that's that's powerful. That's very powerful. You're not dealing with somebody on the internet or on the phone. It's somebody that's local, and there's something to say for that.
Yeah, and I do love the fact that I actually, some people just have Kelowna. I actually know a lot about the island. That's where I grew up. So I have those clients there too that stick with me, even though I'm mainly in Kelowna now. So
that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Really interesting. And Donna, your perspective now working in BC, what would you say kind of sets it apart?
To me, having spent the majority of my career working in Ontario, I grew up in BC, but, I think it's a really interesting market for sure. The lending areas, we're surrounded, we have water everywhere. We have islands. We have agricultural next to a residential neighborhood, so you can have a mixed bag of property types. So I find that to be really unique. I also, there's a lot of self-employed borrowers in BC. So I've found that there's been a real opportunity for Alta West to take care of business for self borrowers. So it's unique in that way, for sure.
And Armando, do you want to have a go, or does that cover the base for you?
I think that covers pretty much everything. I just love visiting BC, so beautiful compared to being in Ontario.
I love BC. I could actually throw a baseball to the ocean. Well, I used to have a really good arm, but it's
you can
close.
roll it there now.
And there's outdoor, I Stairmaster, and there's it's so accessible to get out and exercise, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For a broker that would be starting out in BC, what would be like a
Yes.
crucial piece of advice you would say? And sorry, actually, as well, I wanted to ask, have you mainly been in the private space, alternative space for your career, or do you flit through privates, Bs and As? Do you have a bread and butter?
I think, and again, this is why I think Donna and I she was wanting me on the podcast. I really love the private and B space. I mean, they're not all challenging, but I do love the challenge. And I think a lot of brokers, and going back to the question, in just starting out, I think when I was just starting out, there was this fear slightly of approaching a client about the rates, about the fees. But what you really learn very quickly is that clientele they're already prepared really for it. They know that they're not an A client. So I think having that confidence to be able to sort of approach them, knowing that they actually already know, I think is key. But I think for a while, or a lot of brokers that I know are afraid to even approach them. They're afraid to talk about the rates. They're afraid to talk about the fees when really they already know that that's what they're going to have, I think, the business for self clients, it is true. Like I've been seeing a lot right now that are struggling, and the properties are dropping. So the last few appraisals that I've got, I've seen the actual values drop a little. So just to have that higher loan to value that Alta West offers even is amazing, right? Not a lot of private lenders go up to 80%. So I think that's key.
Yeah,
Definitely.
and then the space is only going to continue to grow. You hit on it. And it's funny when you look at the correlation between, as soon as unemployment starts creeping up a little bit, the number of business for sale people start increasing as well. And that's just, somebody gets laid off, and then they become, a tradesman gets laid off and it's not working. They have a business. They get into doing whatever they're doing, and they need capital or whatever, and that's where we come in, and you as a broker can help them out, and with companies like Alta West.
We've actually just launched our 83% LTV first mortgage as well.
Yes.
So it's a true 80% equity takeout.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, again, you don't see that very often in the private space. So
For sure.
Yeah. So this question, I'll just bouncing off of that, and open to everyone here, just so if it comes to you, just speak. But what trends do you feel like have been ongoing, are emerging, that are shaping the BC market right now? What would you tell? Yeah. I'll just start with that.
Well, I mean, I can share some trends from my perspective, at least what I see across my desk. I continue to see renewals, where borrowers were put into privates. Maybe they had what you would call a teaser rate when they, for the first year. And I am seeing quite a bit of business that's coming in where now that particular private is offering renewals in double digits, like an extreme jump from what they were initially put in. And I continue to see a lot of trends around borrowers that have firsts, have seconds. They've needed seconds for consolidations and things of that nature. We've been able to fill that gap, with our second mortgages. And so those are some of the trends that I've been seeing.
yeah, I mean renewals, that's not, and that's going to continue in 2026. That's going to be huge. There's going to be so many renewals. I think we all know that. And I think it is, we've already seen the fluctuation of the rate, and people are scared. I'm seeing similar, I guess, Donna. Like there's definitely the first and the seconds, and trying to combine them and then not being able to, because again, like property value, or they have more debt than they did a year ago because they were hoping things would change, but they haven't, unfortunately. So it's just trying to find a little bit better of a scenario for them. Because, the first and the second rates are pretty crazy. So trying to combine that into one, so.
Yeah, and another thing I see, and those are all same thing I seen, but I'm seeing more second mortgages and HELOC requests, and because there are still some people that are, locked in on their first, and for another year or two, they need some money now. They don't want to refinance, So they take advantage of, for a short term, they get an open term second mortgage with us or a HELOC. And that kind of bridges the gap. They consolidate some of their debt. And then once their mortgage comes up for renewal from a year or two down the road, they'll do a consolidation or refinance and combine the products. But that's what we're seeing, especially in the last, I would say, 2 to 3 months. Maybe it's in preparation of Christmas. You got to clean up the credit cards so we can buy some Christmas gifts or something. But that's kind of a trend that we're seeing in the last couple of months, where more and more requests for HELOCs and second mortgages.
So what would you guys say to sorry, please go ahead, Rebecca.
No, I was just going to quickly say, I think Armando's right. Like that, the clients are, how do I say this without sounding rude? But they are getting a little bit more, like they understand that, they've had a second before, and those fees are crazy. So they are hoping that they are going to pay that off. So a HELOC is a little bit of a smarter move in the fact that maybe we can do it in 6 months and pay that down versus having that larger penalty if we pay it faster, or we're going to sell or something. Right. So,
Right.
That is that's accurate for sure.
Very, very interesting answers. Really well thought out. We've touched on this a couple minutes ago, but where do you guys feel the industry is going to evolve the next year, the next 2 years? We've discussed, obviously, refinances are a big thing, but where do you see this trend taking us?
I think we're going to still see the same, what we're seeing now. I think there's going to be softening in the real estate market in certain markets. I think the condo market's still going to be struggling in general, more out here in Toronto versus other places in Canada. But I think it's just an oversupply that needs to be digested, and we're going to see softening in the marketplace. I think when you look at rates, we might see a drop, 1 or 2 rate drops in next year in 2026. I don't think we'll see it this month. But on the flip side, when you look at fixed rates, I think we're going to start seeing rates, around where we're at and maybe trickling upwards, because that's all predicated on the bond rate. And the bond rate is going up, and I would not be surprised if we'll continue to see that tick up a little bit on the fixed side rates. So people on variables, lines of credits, and so forth, I think for the most part, it'll be fine. But I think the fixed rate, and this is my prediction, I don't have a crystal ball, but I think the fixed rates will be challenged next year. In my opinion, but it creates opportunities for the alternative space, and I think that's where
100%.
I think that's where you're going to continue to see opportunities going forward. It's just because of the nature of the economy. I think people still need funds. I think requirements are going to be stricter requirements from the regulated space is going to come into play. We heard in the first quarter they're going to be adjusting some of the rental qualifications. If you have multiple rental properties, that it might be challenging. If you might have too many doors, you won't get qualified going forward, no matter what your net worth is and so forth. So that's going to be interesting to see if that comes into play and how that all plays out in the marketplace.
Yeah, 100% agreed on that. And so with that in mind, on the broker side and then the BDM side, Rebecca, what would you say to other brokers, like who maybe aren't as familiar with the private space, with this opportunity growing? What would you recommend for people that are, maybe only have done A's?
Yeah, I mean, well, for one, don't be afraid of it. But also, yeah, I mean, just talk to the BDMs.
Talk
I
to
think,
the Alta West BDMs in particular.
yes, exactly, of course. Yes, 100%. But I think, I think it's just having that conversation with the clients, and not to be afraid to actually talk to them about the rates. The rates, in all honesty, are not that crazy different. And you have the 35-year amortization. You have that ability to make that payment lower. So, yes, there is a bit of a fee, but if it's a fee to keep your house, then, I think it's something that they can kind of work with, So I think the biggest thing would be to just not be afraid of the private space, I mean, yes, there's the regulatory aspects of it too, that, like Armando said, I mean, there is some scarcity around that, I think, to make sure that you're doing everything correctly. But I mean, it is just learning, the knowledge that we have it all at our fingertips. So
Amen.
Just not to be afraid of it.
100%, Rebecca. You hit it. Educate yourself. It's so important because, as a broker, you need to have the full spectrum. If you're just focused on A and you don't know, you're doing a disservice. You're letting business walk out your door, and you're doing a disservice to your clients, because if you can't help them, they go somewhere else. Chances are you might lose that client. And I think that's
absolutely
so true. I think going forward, education should be a priority for brokers, to get them immersed into the alternative space, into the private space, and what, how you can help customers. You should never let a customer walk out the door because you just don't know where to place them. It's one thing if the value is not there and they're at 95% loan to value and you need that's a different story. But if they have equity and they got, they needing
other properties, even
other properties, where you can tag and so forth, 100%. Like there's so much creativity in this space that you can make things work.
Definitely.
And to answer that, James, from a BDM perspective, I would say really take advantage of working with your BDM like myself, because, when it comes to coaching and helping a broker to be able to identify the opportunity and how the borrower might fit, like maybe we can get the higher loan to value approved. Maybe we can get this deal done today with the documentation that you have today, and you don't need to wait to qualify at that traditional lender. So I think the knowledge that the brokers need, and what I can deliver as a BDM to help coach is really paramount, to Armando's point, to make sure that, they find a home for that mortgage. And, especially with me, I have the background of having worked in the A space, the B space, and the subprime space. So being able to kind of translate the knowledge to say this is how you can position a deal to get it done on the private side with Alta West.
Definitely. And I mean, she doesn't look like it. None of them look like it, but they're veterans in the industry. And someone
Thank you.
But have a conversation with Donna, have a conversation with Chris, because whether you're, starting out new to brokering, as Rebecca was, you're someone's assistant, but you want to switch out and do your own thing, or you've been doing A's for 20 years, there's no better education than a good conversation. And if you go in meeting someone who knows what they're talking about, like Donna, like Armando, like Chris and London and Natalie, you're always going to learn something. You're always going to learn something, and it's always worth see if they're in your city, see where they're based, and meet them for a coffee. Just meet somewhere, and it's always going to be productive.
Absolutely.
And that leads me to another question for Rebecca. In your opinion, what distinguishes a good BDM from a great BDM?
Question. I think it's also what I would say would be a great broker versus not a great broker is communication. To be able to, yes, we're all busy and we get that, but there's a time where is it just as easy to pick up the phone when someone has emailed you, and just say, yeah, like we can do this. Don't feel, especially if it's a new broker, let them realize that it's okay to ask the questions, because that's how they're going to learn. And the last thing you want to do is ask a question and they say, well, I know we do it all the time, but it's in the guidelines. Look it up. Well, yes, but we would love to have this conversation with you physically. Pick up the phone and just, to be like, yeah, well, why are you asking that question? What is it? I think that makes a good BDM, trying to understand what they are trying to ask, right? And again, it's just helping them learn more so they won't ask again. Hopefully. But I think that's what makes a good BDM is somebody that isn't afraid to communicate with you and not just sort of pass you off to the guidelines of the book that everybody has, and also they do their niche emails or something that it is helpful too, to understand each lender and Alta West. I see that all the time. Donna, you're doing great. It's like I said, tagging a property is something that is so easy, but people don't think about it if it's not in the private space, right? Like if they're in their A space mind, they don't think about it. So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it when you're working in the industry, it's the simplest thing ever, but it doesn't always come to mind.
Yeah.
So on the inverse of that, Donna, what would you say makes a great broker, and why is Rebecca the best?
Oh, I love that. I love that question, and I love working with Rebecca. I would say for me, from a BDM perspective, I don't think credit is transactional. I feel that there's so many nuances to a file. There's so much conversation and discussion that you can have. So sometimes as a BDM, you may get 100 emails asking very pointed questions about a deal. And to Rebecca's point, I think it's invaluable to have a broker that's willing to talk about a file, because sometimes it's just not cut and dry. And you're able to say, well, have you thought about this? If you structure it this way, oh, by the way, did you know that we allow 100% rental offset? Well, why does that matter? I can get your TDS under 70. We can offer you better pricing. These are conversations that you need to have with a broker versus simply, a cut dry answer through an email. And, I always say I can't fix a secret. And, what I mean by that is if we're truly a partner and we take it from, it being a transactional request, it's like, okay, what do we need to do so that this commitment does meet your needs? What don't you like about it? What can we do? Because at the end of the day, I would like to be able to work with the broker from start to finish and, get it funded.
Yeah.
So going back to what Rebecca said around communication, it's really important to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Transparency on both sides is crucial with any sort of transaction like this, because it's someone's life at the end of the day, or you're dealing in someone's life, and you both have that obligation to each other to be transparent. I've got one more question for Armando, and then one last question for the group, and then I think we're about at time, right, Armando?
Yep.
So Armando has seen it all. He's worked with institutions, syndicates, individuals, big banks, big lenders, little lenders. What makes a great lender, Armando?
Well, there's several things, but I think when you deal with a lender, you want a lender that you can trust, one that that is fully transparent, that has got competitive rates, and and service. Like you can have the best rates in the world and the great BDMs and so forth, but if the service is horrible and turnarounds are horrible, especially in our space where, we pick up the pieces when an A lender or B lender fails, we pick up the pieces and we have to act fast. Our process that we have, that's what sets us apart. I think, people can come to us, they need a quick close, something fell. I think service is paramount, and we always use service, but I think brokers who've been in the business long enough and tried different institutions will understand what that means. And it boils down to right from the submission of the deal, and I call it from cradle to grave. When we get the deal in, when we approve it, when we fund it, and then even how we handle the customer afterwards. But believe it or not, customers do call their brokers back and they'll tell them, hey, they were great to work with or they were horrible. Why'd you put me with them? And we hear it all the time from other brokers about other institutions. So I'm pretty sure. So that's reputation is very important to us, and that's how you build your reputation, is how you handle yourself, and being trustworthy, transparent, and providing exceptional service, not only to our broker partners but to your clients too, and even after the fact, it's important.
Trust, transparency, rates, and service. And then that leads me to my final question for everyone. What is your personal formula for excellence? Because mine is coffee plus oats.
Right.
I think mine is definitely coffee. It is, on a personal note, it would be looking after my health, on work and staying consistent. But I think that's also, I think it's consistency in work and in health would be my, and that's what everyone wants, right?
Yep.
That's probably what, to put it short and sweet.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. There's an artist I love who says that luck is just consistency plus time. That's all luck is.
I like that.
Yep.
How about you two?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Donna.
Go. Oh, yeah. Health for sure. Looking after yourself, it's really hard to be your best if you're not looking after yourself. And, just a passion, I bring, for me personally, if I'm either in or I'm out, I have to be 100% committed with what I'm doing and looking after my partners and just overall understanding that there's a customer behind every conversation that you have. Somebody that's nervous about getting their keys, they're worried about getting an approval, or, when you're working with a broker, it could be a COI that they're working with. So, if they're a little stressed or panicked by the time they get to you, it's really having the compassion, the empathy to understand that they're probably dealing with a lot of pressure on their side. So, yeah.
No. And I agree with both of you. And one of the things that really gets me going is I do have a competitive edge. I want to excel. I want to do well, always pushing myself. But when I do that, I want to have fun at the same time. We work really hard every day. It doesn't matter if you're a broker or a lender. It doesn't matter what your position is. In this industry, it's a hustle. But if you don't enjoy the hustle, you're not going to have fun. And I really enjoy the hustle. And until I don't enjoy it anymore, I'll keep on doing what I'm doing every day because I enjoy what the people I work with. I love the broker partners, and I love doing what I do. And that's why I've been in the industry as long as as long as I have been. Let's put it that way. And I think, and I think
5
that
long years.
yes, it was 5. So that's what really gets me going. And I think you have to have that kind of attitude in this space, because either you'll burn out and or you just won't be successful.
Yeah, that's an amazing answer.
Oh,
My
really?
answer is a combination of all
Can I
three.
change mine?
Yeah.
Well, that was amazing.
Yeah.
Rebecca, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for
Thank you
coming
for
on
having
and
me.
your knowledge and
Yes.
insights. Sorry, Mondo.
Well, Rebecca, do you want to just give a little plug? Where can people
Yeah.
find you?
Apologies.
Oh, just yeah. I mean, I work with Verico Compass Mortgage Group, also known as Tango, and I am based out of the Okanagan, and yeah. But yeah.
That's great. Well, thank you very much, Rebecca, for joining us. And Donna, as always, thank you. And James. And
Armando, you did okay once again.
thanks, James. James, it's always a pleasure. Until next time,
Thank you.
have a great day. And remember, everybody, altawest.ca, you can find us. Please reach out to our BDMs and the lovely Donna here in BC. And you got Chris in Alberta and Natalie in London and Ontario. We look forward to seeing you all next time. James, take care. Rebecca and Donna, have a great day.